Prime's exclusive wildcard playoff game is Saturday night. Jordan Love and the Packers take on Caleb Williams and the Bears. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game.
That's going to be caught for the touchdown.
NFC North rivals square off in the latest chapter of the NFL's oldest feud. The Packers and Bears in Prime's exclusive wildcard playoff game. Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Only on Prime. Sign up for a 30-day free trial today. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
Hello, it's Martin here, and before we begin, I wanted to let you know that this episode of How We Are the Podcast is sponsored by LiveScore Bet, a proud principal partner of Sunderland AFC. And if you're looking to get started, LiveScore Bet have got a cracking welcome offer for new customers. All you've got to do is bet £10 on sports and get £30 in free bets. It's as simple as that. So, if you're ready to join the action, make sure you're doing it with LiveScore Bet, the home of total betting. This offer is available to new members only, and you need to put a £10 or more bet on sports within 14 days of opening your account. Free bets are valid for 7 days, £20 to use on Sportsbook, £10 on Bet Builder. T's and C's and deposit exclusions apply. Please bet responsibly, and remember it's for over 18s only. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to How We Are the Podcast, sponsored by LiveScore Bet. It's Martin here, and you join us moments after the final whistle blew on Sunderland's fifth league defeat of the Premier League season, 3-0 at Brentford. And, well, there's plenty to pick the bones out of, I think. I've got a couple of chaps who aren't in the best of moods with me today. First up, Andrew Smithson. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I am all right, all things considered. Yes, it's never, we do these podcasts, don't we? And we do them every day. We've committed to doing them every day. And when we're winning, everyone wants to jump on. There's so many good things to talk about. You and I spent ages talking about the Man City game, a draw, and how proud we were of the team, all the good things. And then you come to a game like this, which, to be fair, I think at the start of the season, we probably expected a lot more days like this than we've had so far. And it's taken till January to have this sort of day, but there we go. And defeats always give us a bit more to talk about. And we are delighted to be joined also by Mike Dunn. Hello, mate.
Hi, Martin. All good, despite the result we're saying. You were just speaking about the podcast you get to do. I did the Newcastle one after we won, so I think this is the sort of return favour I get for getting that one.
You've got to show up in the good times and the bad, haven't you? So I think all credit to you two for jumping on it full time and talking about it. And look, I think there's only one place to start, Andrew. 1-0 down, an hour gone. Brian Broby gets fouled in the box. Penalty to Sunderland.
Yes, it was an odd decision. Before that point, we'd come on really strong. We'd made our substitutes really early, and it looked like we had a bit of wind in our sails. And then, Enzo, Lafay, that type of thing might work in certain circumstances, but this was not the time or place to be trying that type of thing, I'm afraid. He's got plenty of credit in the bank, so I'm not gonna go in off the deep, jump in into the deep end on him or anything, but he'll know himself. It was a bad decision, and it was probably what then led to us collapsing after that.
What you put it down to, Mike, is that overconfidence on Enzo's part? Is he trying to second guess himself because he's already taken a penalty against Brentford this season? Because in those situations, you're 1-0 down away from home, leather it, don't you?
Yeah, it's not the sort of penalty to take. Absolutely not. It could be something to do with, obviously he's come up against Kelleher before. And I'd say it's well known. Kelleher has a very good penalty record. I think he saved 7 of his last 12 penalties for club and country.
Good stuff.
Recently enough, for Cristiano Ronaldo for Ireland. So he is a good penalty keeper, shot stopper, but just not the moment. Enzo obviously is a very, very talented player, probably our most talented, and he probably backs himself in most situations. If you probably said before the game, if you had one lad who could do a Panenka, you probably would say Enzo. But yeah, was not the time or place for it. I'd say he probably just overthought it completely. I'm hesitant to sort of pile in on him because he's been one of our best players over the last six weeks. So it's just unfortunate in the circumstances. It probably killed the game off for us when he missed it as well.
Yeah, absolutely nobody on this podcast is going to be piling in on Enzo. I can tell you that now, because he has got, as Andrew says, he's got so much credit in the bank, and it's a mistake, I think, in hindsight. But what I will say is Rob Green was on the commentary that I was watching, and he said it takes a very, very brave goalkeeper to stand up. He said, you know, the tens or however many penalties he faced in his career, maybe hundreds, he said he only stood up twice. So he goes, you know, nine times out of 100, the goalkeeper dives, and that penalty, you know, if he dives and that penalty goes in, we're going, Jesus, Enzo's cool. Enzo's putting that away under pressure. So there's a bit there as well. While you know, those penalties look shit, don't they? Because the keeper's just stood there and he's plucked it out at the end. It's catching practice for him. But there's an awful lot of bravery goes to the goalkeeper for standing up as well. So while it's so easy to, you know, point the finger at Enzo in that situation, the keeper probably doesn't get the credit he maybe deserves in that. But, you know, the upshot of it is we miss a golden opportunity to level the game. We'd come on really strongly in that second half. Mayendra had just come on, Mundala had just come on. Mayendra especially was kind of getting into the game, causing him a few problems. And what that penalty save does, it changes that game completely, doesn't it? The crowd are up for it. They were showing replays of the penalty on the big screens. The crowd were cheering and cheering, and it deflated us. And, you know, we kind of saw from there on in a half an hour that we haven't really seen from us this season. I think even against Man City, we were able to really stick into the game. And although the scoreline was the same, we kind of had a bit more structure, I guess, to what we were doing. But from there on in, Andrew, it was a little bit all over the place. And we've talked all season, I mean, about games turning on big moments, you know, for us and against us. But that was the moment the game turned. And from there on in, we didn't look like getting anything out of the game, did we?
No, unsurprisingly, we looked absolutely dead on our feet. You know, that second goal came from was it a miss-hit free kick, or was it just a pass along the back four?
Pass from Getrauda.
Yeah. Those types of things don't happen when everybody's fresh, or if the team have just equalised and everybody's switched on and buzzing. So yeah, the final throws of the game were painful to watch. I think Lebris pretty much knew the game was up, and you could see that in some of the substitutions he made. It was a case of just protecting players for future games. Really interesting what you said there about Rob Green. I often like to listen to neutral analysts talk about the game, and at no point were they slagging Sunderland off or anything. I think they were just kind of matter of fact. And the context, they spoke a lot about the context of how many players were missing and how fatigue's likely to have slipped in, and the context, the wider context is the team are in a good place compared to what they thought they would be in. So I'm absolutely gutted. I think we did make things hard for ourselves, and there's part of me wants to go all Arsenal fans TV and start ranting and raving and making stupid comments and throwing out stupid sound bites. But I'm trying to just remember that in the wider scheme of things, this was a bit of a one-off, and hopefully now there's the FA Cup and then there's a week on the training pitch. Hopefully this turns out to be a one-off. It's not a nice feeling. We're not used to it, but hopefully we don't have to get used to it either.
No, we're not used to it, are we? And, you know, Rob Green as well said in the commentary, when you look at the 3-0 scoreline, people will see the scoreline and think Sunderland have just turned up and been walked over. And he said that hasn't been the case. It's a game that has been hard fought for the majority of it, and it's turned on big moments. And Michael, Brentford are a bloody good side at home, aren't they? I think they've lost one at home all season to Man City. They've put 3 past Newcastle, 4 past Brentford. You know, this isn't an easy place to come to. And I think it's, you can kind of look at the fixture, you can't, and go, well, historically, Brentford are not a Liverpool, a Manchester United, a Chelsea. They're not a big Premier League club, but by God, they're a big Premier League team right now. And they are one of the form teams in the country. I think that's the 4th Premier League win in 5. They put 4 past Everton, didn't it, at the weekend? Like, this is a team in good form. And, in that first half, we almost turned in performance like we turned in the first half against Spurs, and we looked a bit leggy. We were trying to contain. Now, I don't know if it's the kind of the game plan that we're going out with, where we're just trying to keep it solid in the first half, try to wear them down a bit, and then try to go and get them after half time. But in that first half, we kind of looked a little bit all over the place for spells of the game. I think Aaargh, I'm not sure where he was, because his head certainly wasn't on the pitch. His body was, but his head seemed to be elsewhere, and it just looked a bit scrappy in that first half, didn't it?
Yeah, and just on Brentford, you have to give credit to Keith Andrews and the team, because they've sort of were back to get relegated at the start of the season, and they've come on so strong the last few weeks.
People were saying he was a joke of an appointment, weren't they, when they lost Thomas Frank and all that sort of stuff, but he's proven a lot of people wrong, and he's put a really good team together.
Really, really good team together, yeah, and sort of just has them set up well at home. So it kind of reminds me of us, like, at home. We're just really hard to play against, and they get the crowd going, and like, they use their set piece as well, especially their throw-ins and things. But on us, I thought we struggled a lot in the first half. The big thing is just we couldn't string more than 5 passes together. We just kept losing the ball, and we were putting ourselves under countless pressure countless times. Especially Thiago and Ballard, they were having a bit of a battle. I think Ballard was struggling a lot with him, especially as the second half or the first half went on. But Brentford are a good team. They're physical. And I'd say we just probably, it's one game too much for us. And you could just tell that, like, the same lads have been playing game after game over the Christmas period has just come back to bite them. I kind of, hindsight, how you say it, it's easy to say now, but could Lebreeze maybe have used some of those guys, the likes of O'Nien and Dan Neil, maybe a little bit more? Because you could see today, Alderete, like you said, Martin, he was struggling. Like, he lost the ball so many times in the first half, just silly errors. You can just see that maybe we probably needed to use more players that weren't getting game time.
I think, Andrew, that was the risk that always was going to be the case, wasn't it, with the AFCON and the players being away. And I think we probably had hoped that we'd probably have 1 or 2 of them back before now. We've just got Ronaldo and Siddiqui coming back, and Traore as well coming back, and maybe available for the weekend. More likely we'll see them the weekend after. But, whether you want to rotate the squad, or whether you want to give people games or stick with what we know, it's the results, it's hindsight, isn't it? And if the result doesn't go your way, you're always going to go, well, should we have done something different? Same as the penalty. If that goes in, nobody's saying, you shouldn't have done that. It goes in, you 1-1, and everything's fine. But it's funny, isn't it? Because you kind of go, your immediate reaction is that's a game too far. We've done so well with a very tight squad over the past month with the players being away. But again, big moments, and if that penalty goes in, the momentum's with us. We potentially go on to get a draw, potentially go on to win it. And nobody's saying that's a game too far. Everyone's going brilliant. So it just swings on those big moments, doesn't it? And there's not much else you can do.
Yeah, it does. It swings on those moments. And if you want to take some solace from this, Sunderland haven't lost because they've been outclassed. They've lost because of the circumstances, and they've lost to a very good team. It's already been mentioned in this pod. We were probably expecting to lose a fair few games on the road, 2 or 3-0. So the fact that we're sitting down in January in an almost state of shock by it just says a lot. I really don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I hate losing. I'm a sore loser, and I'm going to be in a foul mood now until we play Everton. But I am just trying to keep reminding myself of the context. And we were missing 5 or 6 players, and when you've put in the type of shift we did against Man City, and when you've come from behind against Spurs to win something, it is going to drain you. And as I'm talking to you there, lads, I'm looking at the other Premier League results coming through, and this just says it all to me. I'm looking at a couple of those results and thinking, this is a missed opportunity, and if Sunderland had won, it could have really boosted our European push. That just shows it also shows I'm very glass half full, but it just shows that overall, we're okay. We're in good shape. We've just had a night where all of these little things have all gone wrong all at once, and it's against a team who've got a striker who's a lethal finisher and who've got a great record at home. So they've put us away.
And Michael, it's going to be important, isn't it, that we have that context for this result, because as Andrew says, it hasn't happened very often at all. It's been a one-off. There's a load of mitigating circumstances around it. And yes, none of us like losing. We all hate watching Sunderland get beat. We haven't had to do it very often this season at all. We're still ninth in the Premier League. We've come through this tough run of games with the AFCON lads away, picking up points here and there. Yes, we could have done better. We probably left points on the table against Leeds and probably left a point or two or three tonight. But, context's really important. Now we've got a week and a half, haven't we, until our next league game. And it's probably quite nicely timed. We've got the Everton game on Saturday in the FA Cup, and who knows what team we put out for that. But it's an opportunity, isn't it, just take a step back, remain calm, and remain positive about everything that we've achieved so far this season. Because this team hasn't turned into a bad team overnight. This team will not be impacted too greatly by this result. We've got players coming back. And it's almost one of those things where you just go, okay, we'll draw a line under that. And, Roy Keane's famous catchphrase, we move on.
Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity for fans and players and the club in general just to reset now after that kind of mad period. We've probably been a little bit too spoiled since the season starts with how we've played. Over the 7th of January now, we've 30 points on the board already. So, look, we lost 3-0. On paper, you say Brentford, Jesus, that's a bad defeat. But this Brentford team, as we just spoke about, are a seriously good team. I think there's going to be other, probably bigger clubs that will go there now for the end of the season and lose to them. So I'm not too worried about that. I think more people are probably just the circumstances, obviously, around the penalty. But you probably just have to forget about that and just look back, reflect on how well we've done. I think the FA Cup is sort of just seen as a day out for a lot of the fans. 8,000 fans gone down to the new stadium. They'll enjoy that. And by the time the Palace game comes next week, you'd assume we'll have most of the lads back. I don't know if we'll have all of them at that stage, but that's another opportunity to make up for tonight. But look, what a season we've had so far. I don't think anyone, if you stay away from that general chat that we're in, just ignore it for a few hours after a game, everyone calms down a bit and look, we're doing okay. We're doing fairly okay.
And Andrew, one thing this spell of games, with the AFCON players playing in that competition has enabled is chances for other players. And, I think even tonight, I thought Brian Broby was brilliant tonight. I thought he put a huge shift in. He's getting stronger and fitter by the game. This spell of games has really enabled him to step up. And, it might have happened anyway because obviously Isdor's had an injury as well. But, I know there's not many fantastically good performances to pick out of tonight's game, but I thought Broby put a bloody shift in and worked hard and, got the foul, didn't he, for the penalty?
Well, he'd rolled the defender really well prior to him being hauled down, and there was times that were having to double up on him because he was such a threat and he's so physically strong. And again, had there been a couple of pairs of fresher legs around him, some of those times when he's struggling and he's got the ball at his feet and he's got a defender all over him, he maybe finds it easier to pop it off to somebody. But yeah, Broby is an absolute workhorse. Brilliant last couple of months from him. And again, it like you say, it's all down to moments. And Lefay puts that penalty away and we get a 1-1 draw. Everybody's saying Broby was fantastic and it was his effort that got us the penalty in the first place, and he's a bit of a hero. So Yeah, I'm really liking what we're seeing from Broby, and you look at some of these fixtures coming up against teams who aren't as strong as Brentford, and you'd like to think that he can do even more damage in those games.
And another player, Michael, who stood out for me tonight, came off the bench, Elijah Mayenda. He hasn't had a great deal of opportunities since early in the season, but again, the likes of Talby and Traore and people not being available has opened the door to him. And he's taken that chance, hasn't he? He's put some good performances in. He looks now a really credible option for Lebris to at least bring off the bench.
Really good. And I think you could see, obviously, for the penalty, the sort of link-up play between Mayenda and Broby was exactly what we were missing in the first half. We were kind of looking for that link between Broby and the midfield was missing. And Mayenda came in there. And, it's the thing about Mayenda is that, I've said this before, he doesn't know what he's going to do half the time, so the defenders aren't going to know. It's just, he's so direct. He's so speedy. And he gets himself into really good positions. And it's kind of been heartening to see him come on, like from the Leeds game, Man City game. He's done really, really well. And we kind of missed something like him, I think, for parts of the season, in the early parts. And he brings something different to what the other strikers bring. And I think, there was talk that maybe we might get rid of him before the end of the transfer window. I would be very, very hesitant for anything like that to happen now, because he's come on leaps and bounds. And I think he's just grown in confidence, and he could be a really big player for us going into the second half of the season.
He could be. And Andrew, we also saw the likes of Dan Neil, Luke O'Nien get run out towards the end of the game. I don't know if that was Lebris just saving people's legs or getting some minutes into their legs, but it's nice to see both those players come on, and you probably see them at Everton on Saturday, I would imagine.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if they start. I mean, those final few minutes, it was almost like watching our championship team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Serkin was there and Mundell was getting the ball and Mayenda was busy. Bit gutted for Mundell that late on that set the keeper made a half decent save from him. It would have been nice to have got a goal there just as a consolation, and if nothing else, just to give those fans in the away end there something to cheer about, because they were bloody brilliant. They kept singing throughout. It didn't look as if anybody left early, which you could perfectly understand, because I doubt there's many trains back up to the northeast tonight. So yeah, I think it was one of those where he had half an eye on resting a couple of regular first choice players, and maybe if they were in this supposed red zone that physios talk about, maybe it was a case of get them off before they get themselves really hurt. But also, yeah, just let them blow the cobwebs away, so that if they do play against Everton on Saturday, they've got rid of a little bit of the rust. I don't think it was any more than that. I don't think it was some sort of like hauling players off because he was furious with them or anything like that. It was just, game and squad management for me.
I was a little bit concerned that Ballard went off. I think he looked a little bit
Yeah.
uncomfortable when he came off, so we'll have to see whether that's anything to worry about too much. But Michael, we've got plenty of time to talk about the FA Cup in the next couple of days, but where does it rank on the priorities for you this season? I'm reluctant to say that we're safe in the Premier League, because I don't think we're ever safe until it's completely confirmed. That's just the scars of seasons gone by, perhaps. But a cup run would be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, we take a cup run, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a bit worried that, the circumstances of our season so far, obviously over the last month with the AFCON, that we are going to see a very sort of much changed side going into Saturday. And I don't think Lebris has ever really taken the cups that seriously since he's been with us, has he? Even in the League Cup and the FA Cup last year. So I'm not expecting too much, but I'd take any sort of run if we could get to a quarter-final, semi-final another day out in Wembley. I'd say we'd all take that. But I'm sure his priority obviously is safety first and getting that 40-point mark in the league. But I'm sure the 8,000 fans going down there now on Saturday will have a great day out. And to be fair, you wouldn't know what sort of side Everton are going to put out either, because I think they're struggling with a few injuries. I see they got 2 red cards tonight as well. So
Yeah.
so they'll have a few lads out as well. So it could actually work out in our favour. Maybe it could be an even enough game, and with those 8,000 fans, you wouldn't know what would happen, to be fair.
And it's ridiculous, Andrew, isn't it? People complain about clubs not taking the FA Cup seriously, but then the FA put the third round dates on the Saturday after all of the Premier League clubs have had a run of 5 games in 15 days or something like that. You can't expect clubs to turn out full strength sides after going through a run like that.
No, and it doesn't matter how much players are played or what facilities they've got. At the end of the day, they are still human beings and they are being pushed to their limits at the moment. You said there Ballard came off and he had a bit of a hobble on him. Hopefully it was just a case of, well, if there's any doubt whatsoever, the game's up, so we might as well take him off.
Yeah.
But there are going to be players now who are feeling little strains and pulls because they're not getting the recovery times. The weather's not great. That's going to have an impact on them. It has how much money is in your bank account has no bearing at this time of year.
No, absolutely not.
On looking after your body and being right. So yeah, Saturday probably will see a few changes. Me personally, I mean, well, I've got tickets for the game, so I hope we give it a good go. I think we can have a cup run. And looking at the table now, I fully appreciate why people are concerned and don't want to say we're safe yet. But we're 16 points clear of the relegation spots. I don't think having a go in a couple of cup games is really going to come back and haunt us, I don't think.
If we were playing Saturday, I'd be going, you play a full strength team. I just physically, I think you saw tonight, certainly after we conceded the second, you saw people's legs going. We just didn't have that energy or that spark. I think we've been pretty good actually managing energy levels in games. I think we saw it in the first half against Spurs where we sat off a bit. We saw the same tonight. And I think that's a deliberate ploy, not going hell for leather, because energy level-wise, you just can't. But anyway, we will see what happens on Saturday when we get to that point. But I think we've done pretty well to get 25 minutes out of our defeat without actually talking about the game. Without talking about the game that much, so we've managed to avoid that as well. So I think we will leave it there. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you. And hey, listen, I'm poring over this league table, man. Our defensive record's still one of the best in the country. So keep your chin up, everybody. It was we can quickly forget about this and move on, I think.
And thank you very much, Michael. Any wise words to leave the listeners with, mate?
No wise words, but I had opened a box of Cadbury Heroes when we went 3-0 down, so I think I'm going to tuck back into them when this ends. The leftovers from Christmas.
So I say, sweeping up the remnants of Christmas.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to both of you. Thank you for everyone for listening. That obviously wasn't the most joyous podcast we've ever done, but we will return with those very soon, and we'll return tomorrow with a look back at this game. I think Gav and Ant are on in the morning, and then we'll start the build up to Everton. So there's plenty to get your ears stuck into on How We're the Podcast. But until then, it's goodbye from us.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.